Hello and welcome to session 3 of the template overview. In this session we're going to cover the vehicle template. So let's go ahead and open the vehicle template. Again, as the other templates, the initial level that loads is empty. So if we want to open our actual level, we will open the vehicle level. Inside our vehicle level, we just have some basic layouts here. We have a 10-degree ramp, a 20-degree ramp, a little bit higher ramp with a little bit of a jump. We have some bumps over here. We can test some of our physics. And then a little drive-through of a city-style kind of brick layout here with a few obstacles. We have a couple stationary taxi cabs that'll have physics on them as well. And when we play this level, we spawn in as the vehicle right at the front. The vehicle will drive with WASD controls, play the proper audio, and have the proper physics. We'll also play different audio sounds based on the speed and what you're doing. We have some physics objects in here with the cones, as you can see, that we can have impacts with. The audio will react appropriately if you run into something. The audio will die down appropriately and play a green sound. There's just a few things here you can test as you drive around. There's got some bumps we can get stuck on or drive over depending on your speed. And you also have a space bar for power brake and slide. So these are some of the basic vehicle physics that we have in this level. So to show you where some of this stuff lives for the vehicle, we'll go into the content folder in the browser here. We'll go into models, and we have this four-wheel folder. In here we have the material, which we covered a little bit earlier in a different video. This is our basic material setup. This is using physical-based materials, so we get the nice gloss and reflections that we'd like in the scene, as you can see here. On the vehicle, as we scroll around, you get nice reflections on the windows and the glass and the body. That's pretty self-explanatory in the material setup, which we'll have another video that covers simply materials, so we can get more into depth on that at another time. We also have flow here on this vehicle, so if we open up this vehicle here in the flow editor, in the unit editor, we have the vehicle actor, which is going to be our physics interaction, and then in the unit flow here, we have very similar to what we had done in the character template. It's a physics collision. So we have the vehicle actor, which is associated with this unit, and then we play this impact sound, which is set up through the WI's audio sound bank. So to get this vehicle to drive properly, we have some scripting that we've done in Lua. And again, you can open this through the script editor in the editor, or you can use an external tool like Sublime here. And under the script folder here at the project level, we have the player.lua, which is going to spawn our vehicle. It's pretty self-explanatory. We won't get into too much depth of how all of this works. This is where some of our audio lives, how we call the ambient wind sound when we play the level, how we spawn the cameras, and how we spawn the vehicle to come in. This is also going to reach back to our vehicle controller. This is in a file that we have called vehicle unit controller, and it will also reach back to the vehicle follow camera, which is how we set up the camera. So in the vehicle unit controller, if we open that up, this is a basic simple controller for a very simple vehicle. This is where we play some of the idle sounds, and you could remove these audio sound triggers here and put them in other files if you like. It depends on your project. For this circumstance, we put them in the unit controller. These are all our different audio updates, our shutdown, our inits, how we set up the vehicle controller, and then some of the basic controllers here of how we do acceleration, deceleration, steering, the sprint, and the handbrake, and how we associate those with keys. And again, here we're setting up some of the audio and how we're playing those different audio sounds, as we covered in an earlier video, through the SFX events that we set up in WI's. We also have some HUD controls here for touch, for mobile, which we'll get into in another video. And then our speeding for our skids, and when we're going to play those sounds based on how fast we're going and how much we start to slip and slide. So if we go to the content folder now, I'll show you where some of this physics stuff lives that we set up for the vehicle. Under four-wheel, we have a bunch of things in this folder, of course, but the main one we want to focus on and where we set up the vehicle driving physics is here in the four-wheel.physics file. So if we open this up, this is a simple text file. We have the vehicle actor and the car body. Then we have all the different types of pieces of the car body. So if we go in and open this unit actor up again, we can see that he doesn't have any bones. He's just in 4 chunks. So we have the main root and the node here for the car body, and then we just have the car body, the 4 different wheels that are associated with it, and those are just our 4 chunks. And that's all we have. So if we go back into our physics, that's what we're defining here. We have the wheels that are defined as rubber, and then we have the vehicle body, and this is a convex computed. Once we have that set up at the top of the file, and those have to match as well, exactly your vehicle or it won't work, so make sure you have all the parts in there. We get into this, the vehicle section here, a lot of this physics. Some of this might be confusing to those of you that don't understand vehicle physics that much, or physics in general. But this is a really good example to start from a simple four-wheel car. So even if you just copied and pasted this and made sure you had the mesh shapes associated correctly with your vehicle, this is a good starting point. You can adjust the mass of the vehicle to make it heavier or lighter. There's a bunch of different settings in here that you can set to set up the bias and the splits and the rear ratios and the damping rates and the throttles and whatnot. And you can change your max omega or peak torque for your speed differentials. There's gear settings in here as well as to when it shifts gears and how fast you're going to accelerate or decelerate and the smoothing rates that go along with those. There's a whole myriad of settings in here that you can be associated with your vehicle and how it will drive, from damping rates to handbrakes and torques, etc. This is a great place to come in and set all your settings and try out things and see what kind of different settings apply to your vehicle based on the mass and size and what you're looking for in your project. For our project, these were the settings, of course, that we used for our taxi cab based on the mass that we chose. This doesn't load like the old character or the old basic templates do for the player.lua. The player.lua, in this case, the player is not a character so much as is the vehicle. So in player.lua here, when we call this to load the level, we're going to spawn the vehicle in here and attach the vehicle camera and attach the vehicle unit controller. And again, we're doing all of this through Lua scripting rather than through Flow, but you could do all of this through Flow as well, either way. We will have some downloadable samples that can show you how to do all of this in Flow. So for the level flow for this level, we simply have the same ones we had before, the level loaded, level shutdown, and then a couple level updates. So if you wanted to hook some things up here in Flow, you could do that as well. Another thing we have in this level that wasn't in the other levels is we have dynamic objects here loaded, and I'll give you an example here as one of the cones. So you noticed that when we were driving around, when we hit these cones, they would move around. So if we go to props, and we open up this cone, you can see it has an associated flow with it. In the unit flow here, we have a physics collision, and we're telling it to touch, and we're going to play this trigger event, which is going to play this cone impact noise. In the cone itself, though, we want to make sure that we set this guy up to have a physics actor and make sure that the actor template over here is set to dynamic. We give it a mass of 5 so it has some weight. And we set the shape type to box this way that it will collide properly with the moving physics of the vehicle. So now when you drive around in your level and you hit a cone, it will react appropriately and bounce around as you hit it and make an audio sound. So that is the basic overview of the vehicle level. Again, this is just an overview of some of the templates. The next template that we will go on to in the next session will be the VR template.